Welcome back, guys. I'm Skeleton Bell, and if you can't tell, there it goes, I went to Eloise Asylum on Friday the 13th, and I got a beautiful hoodie. I believe in me. Get it? Cause they're haunted. Haunted. I'm not. I wanna be a believer, but I just am not a believer in the paranormal. At least not yet. I think it's really cool, and I have hope. But I had a spectacular time at Eloise for their haunted house, and I wanted to go over that with you because it's one of the most. I want to go over I had a wonderful time. There's not a whole lot of criticism to be had here. I like to offer some advice with some things that I noticed here and there, but honestly, I only have a couple things that and they're not even like negative things. They're just things that I think that would be helpful for them for other purposes. But and then I did take some video while I was there. Not obviously in the haunt, that's would not be allowed, but they have areas in there midway, which they don't list online, that I'll be putting under the YouTube shorts and my Scalebell's TikTok, because otherwise that will make this video that much longer by posting those, so I will post those as two separate videos. And yeah, so let's get into it. So I wrote down a bunch of notes on the way back. Don't worry, I was not driving, my friend was. And yeah, so this, I would say for me, rivaled the Dent Schoolhouse in terms of just just the professionalism in a haunt. And by that, obviously, don't mean like a professionalism as in business. This was an experience. Honestly, the wait times, maybe we got lucky. They weren't that bad. You do pay $5 when you get there for parking, and then you can get your tickets online for your allotted time slot. I believe you chose 8 o'clock, and they do want you to get there within a few minutes of that time slot. And yeah, so you go in, and I think I paid, it was like $42.50, I believe, online. That was a slight discount, and then a $2.50 or something service fee. And then from there, you can also do escape. They do have escape rooms if you're interested in. I did not do an escape room. And they have obviously merch, which they said you could purchase online. I did go to their website and their Facebook, and their merchandise is not even like listed on there or mentioned. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, the wait time, not a problem. You do have to go in. Don't bring like a big bag with you. If you carry anything around, they do check you, and you walk through a metal detector. Just so anyone who knows that, if you have like anything anything inserted wise that might cause it to go off, just let them know. Let them search your bags. That's becoming a lot more commonplace now. Like I've been to haunts that do that. And it's for your safety and for theirs alike. And of course, like the normal, they'll tell you everything when you get there. But it was an experience. One of the things that they claim online, like they talk up a big game on their website, right? Which looks really good. And honestly, I thought maybe they just might not quite make it there. But man, they exceeded my expectations actually. And I don't mean by like a little bit. I think they're better than what they have on their website. It is truly some of the best projection mapping I have seen, and I have been to a ton of haunted houses. Granted, my experience is mostly, but not entirely limited to Michigan and Ohio. But again, that's where you're going to find the most concentration of haunts anyway in this industry, but I have been to a few other states as well. And it is definitely one of my favorite haunted houses. I will be hopefully returning again next year, and then returning for an actual tour of the asylum at some point in the future, because it is a bit of a drive. But honestly, I've been known to go in horribly long hours to get to a place that I wanted to be at, so it just happened. So one of the things I really like was towards the beginning, when you go into the haunt, they have a it's not the very beginning, because kind of like it builds, so you start off a little bit slow and just kind of builds as you're going in there. And what I like, unlike Mansfield, they actually played into the fact that this is an asylum, whereas when I went to Mansfield several years ago, they had it as the witching hour, which didn't really work, and they had really cheesy props comparatively. This has, whoever designed Eloise for their haunted house needs to win a fucking award, okay? Oh my god, I want to meet you. I want to interview you. You did such a fantastic job. All of your staff, any volunteers, all of you are amazing, and you've just done amazing work. Keep up the hard work. I am so impressed. I cannot wait to return again. I am so excited. I can't wait to finally actually get my hands on a beanie and a magnet because they were sold out when I was there. It was disappointing. One day. So they have this hallway as you're walking around. I'm not gonna give away too many details, but there is a dark hallway that has like one door at the end, and it has like a red spotlight on it. It's only maybe like a foot and a half across. And I thought that was a really good effect because it reminds me of like going through a walk-through like scary game, like a walking simulator one. If anyone knows what that is, kind of like PT almost style. I really enjoyed that. I liked the use of, and I'm going to say false walls, and I don't mean the ones that move. I mean that they took the asylum, and for anyone who's familiar with the layout of the normal asylum, they put up false asylum walls so that way you no longer know where you are, because this is no longer the asylum layout, this is the haunted house layout. So they made areas more confined, and you'll find a lot of haunted houses will have small confined areas that you're walking through, just a long hallway that's maybe just dark and there's nothing there, but I never felt bored, and there was never really a dull moment. There were areas where you could almost start to relax, and then with some details that was really cool, that stuff that was still cool but not necessarily like up in your face and scary, but then like they would get you with something, and just whether it be scary or super impressive, I loved it. And like I just like that you could see stuff all the time. Like even if it was dark, there was stuff going on all the time, and I like that instead of just like kind of walking in a boring like hall where it kind of usually drags on, or there's just nothing there, or maybe like the actors aren't really lingering around. No, the asylum did that perfectly. I'm trying to go down a list because I wrote down a list. Some of it's a little out of order because there's technically two haunts. There's the Eloise Asylum, and then there's the Nankin Project, which is just the basement. And it kind of reminds me of the game Outlast, like the first one a little bit, but without the big like bulky men and without their parts swinging all over the place. But like I actually wrote that as a note. But it's like also combine that with like the Exorcist movie, right? And then that's how you get Eloise Asylum haunted house. And if you're into that sort of thing, I think you'll like it. I do think the Nankin Project was scarier, and I noticed that the group behind me was losing their mind. They were legit like super scared. I don't ever really get scared. I only got scared once, and it wasn't in the haunt. It was in the midway with a guy who skated by me with one of those like shocker things, and I was in the middle of reading like a magazine for the haunt magazine, so that got me. Uh, I'm a little ashamed at that, but then again, Presence got me a few years ago, so we'll just leave that one alone. We'll just leave it alone. So yeah, I talked about the false walls because the reason why I found out is because I look up in haunts, and if you ever know to do that, sometimes they'll just have a lot of places will use false walls, whether they're impressive or not. This one had fairly impressive ones. They kind of blended well with the ceiling, and there's a gap between where the wall was and the ceiling was, and where the actual piping is for the location for the building. So you could tell that yes, the building itself, this area is probably bigger, but that doesn't matter because it still blends in well enough. And also they had stuff up there to look at in areas, which I thought was really impressive because no haunt does that, or they'll do bare minimum. They did it in areas. They went all out, and I'm just like, wow, most people aren't even going to look up to notice this, I feel like. And here they are, just like, I just feel like if someone looks up, I want them to be scared. So let's do that. Let's do that. And they did, and it was beautiful. So yeah, look up when you're there, especially in the Nankin area. I would highly recommend it. Also, just the scenery, whether it's scary or not, just the amount of artistry that went into that is baffling. I don't even want to know how much money they spent. I can't even imagine. Like, I would probably feel like you don't get into the haunted house industry you because you do it out of creativity and because you enjoy it, not because it's cheap, because oh my god, it's not. It is super expensive. So they had in a room, one of the rooms I really enjoyed was I guess it's an asylum, I understand this, but there's like beds thrown in areas, right? But they're up against the wall, and they're going up the wall in a way, and then there's like exorcist stuff going on with like not actors but people, but things that look like actors, that they weren't moving but like had their limbs going behind them, and they're in the air hanging, and I just thought that part was really impressive. And props in the corner of the ceilings. the actor placement was amazing. They had a lot of doors and like windows for them to move around, but there were other areas that were like, I assume fake brick. There were definitely areas where the brick was real, but they had like brick laying around areas where they were able to move around to whole different areas of this little sections of building to scare other groups, and it was so smooth in the transition that you wouldn't really be able to tell half the time where they're coming from. They would just pop out there and gently caress you, because yes, this is a touch haunted house. They are going to touch you. Don't worry, it's not like Haunted Hoochie where they grope you. It was just like a nice like this or this. That was all it was. And I was like, this is kind of nice. It's kind of like a gentle caress. You know, for those of you who never had great parents, I don't know. But also I can see where that's unnerving. They had another scene where it was like also like Outlast, and the average asylum back in the time to brainwash you or those who are going insane, and they're making it worse. They had a ton of tiny TVs projecting ring-like stuff, and they just had a lot of these animatronics lined up there and having things done to them, which these are good. Half the time you can't hear the of the animatronic, and then some were puppets, and they're puppets in there look like animatronics, but they don't make any noise, and they're controlled by an actual person behind them, and I really like them. I've seen use of puppets in quite a few haunted houses now, and sometimes they're better than the animatronics, but I don't know how sizable they can get with those. I have seen quite large ones, but I don't think they're going to get to the size of some of the animatronics that I've seen that have been like 15, 16 feet in size or bigger. I just don't, I mean, maybe they can get a puppet that big, but I have yet to see one that stands that tall and is able to be controlled by a person. But yeah, I really like the puppets. I'm trying not to get extreme. I'm not trying to get too detailed. There was like what I refer to as a human centipede room, if you know what I'm talking about with the movies. It's not quite that. It's really just sewing experiments, like merging two people together, but like sewing them together. Someone else thought it was a different style room. I don't even know how they got that idea, but I don't think they were looking at it right. But yeah, it was human experimentation room, which a lot of the stuff was, but that was another one that I thought like really stuck out in my mind. They had super well timed animatronics, and like I said, very minimal like sound, the like clunky sound effects. There were a few that did it, but again, they had enough music going and enough sound effects going that most of them either weren't noticeable at all or very minutely noticeable, and I don't think most people are gonna. I do, because I've been to so many. I'm gonna notice things. I don't think there was a single one that like didn't do its job. Like I think everything was super well timed and went off. So they had, like, I talked about the hideaways, the areas and doors for actors to get around easily that wouldn't be noticeable for the public. The one actor who moved like a really great smooth animatronic, I wasn't sure he was real first until my friend pointed it out, because we took a double take, and I was like, that's a person. He's not moving like a person. He's moving like someone from Steam Power Giraffe. Which, again, music group guys. And then we have, but maybe he isn't human, and maybe he isn't human, guys. I don't know. This place is haunted. Maybe he's possessed. They had moving floors, so this is becoming more. So I always recommend wearing like good athletic shoes going to places like that, because they had inclines, they had stairs, they have moving floors, rattling floors. They had something that I've never seen before, which is a padded room, right? But it did this, and I think the actor in there was causing it to move with his feet. Because, like, normally I think it would be kind of, not free hanging, but, like, so you were tilting, and I ran into the wall once, which is fine because it was padded, so not hurt. But, like, that was really cool. I really liked that, like, touch. And I know that probably took a lot of work, but really, really nice touch on that one. Lighting placement everywhere was really good. So, like, where the areas were dark that needed to be dark, they were. There was nowhere that was pitch black. They didn't need it. They had so many details in there. Everything, I don't know. What's one of the few places where I'm like, the lighting, I don't know if it could be more perfect. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? The monsters and animatronics were sometimes in the ceilings, and the lighting was in a different area. So lighting would be like over here, and then the animatronic, it would be flashing, but the flashing would barely light up the prop or the like monster up on the ceiling, and then you could see like a sewer grate in an area. There was another area you walk down a hall, and it was like like Resident Evil, where like it's glass, but it's fogged glass, and you could just see hands going on it. But it was really convincing. Like there's a ton of like zombies or people pressing against the glass. It was a really nice touch. I've seen stuff similar, but not to that size or extent, and I really enjoyed that. What else do we have to cover? Glass windows that are not see-through until they light up. So like experimentation rooms, you would go and or sometimes they would just flash really quickly, so you only get maybe a half a second to see what's going on, but that's enough. You get an idea. You may not get the details out of it, but you get an idea of what's going on. I actually enjoyed that. One of them was a little too bright, but I think that's more to like fuck up your vision than anything for the other parts of the hunt for a few seconds. But like, yeah, I had no trouble with like anything, which was nice considering my health problems. The hands and bodies touching the glass, we went through that. Oh, the what I assume it was intentional. I'm assuming it was intentional. There was like stairs and a bridge you walk through, like a really small one, and it was really tilted, so you had to like walk weird. And I'm like, that's intentional, right? That's not just from aging, because this is really old. But yeah, it felt like the old asylum that turned into experimentation, which, you know, experimentation happened there for the most part. The strobe light use was great. They didn't overuse strobe lighting. They used it in areas where it was needed, and it really highlighted the animatronics and the actors and the props and the set design, because their set design was just phenomenal. And again, like, I would even say, like, the makeup and the costumes were great. There was one person who looked like they had a melted clown or doll mask. That was really good. I mean, the acting, for the most part, was, there were sometimes you would think they would do something and then they wouldn't, and I think that builds anxiety for when stuff happens. And not every actor was, like, superb. You could tell when someone was maybe a younger actor or not as experienced. But, I mean, those were only a few, and you're going to always have those in haunts. Nothing held against them. There was one of them who was super happy when they were just kind of guiding you in, and I was like, oh, like, we're going to get experimented on. There was one who radiated super dommy mommy energy. That was something else, and she had a feather duster. And I'm just like, where did you get that? It was I was like, okay. So for the most part, the acting was on par, and they did a good job. And then some of them just like lurking in a corner, not doing anything, and just watching you was just that was just enough of a disturbing, because I went with a friend who does get scared. And yeah, there's a thing they do, so with some of the lighting and projecting mapping, there was a monstrosity, I don't know what to call it, experiment in glass. They had a bunch of glass tubing in various areas of the Nankin project, and then one of them was like a spider abomination that was bubbling up but had a ton of eyes, and the eyes were blinking, not because it was the animatronic that was blinking, but because the lights, that was an effect the lights were doing. And I had to stop and point that out to my friend and the group that was right next to us, because I thought, I've never seen anything done to that like extent. That was that little detail touch, just, I don't know, that's gonna stick with me for a while. And the fact that they're willing to go that far for small details says a lot, that this haunt will hopefully survive a very long time and continue to grow and get even better, if that's possible. I think they could do a little bit better, I really do. Maybe even make it longer, but we'll see. I even put, again, lighting is phenomenal. I keep putting that in the notes. But yeah, tubes experimentation, great, and the eyes. And then and my friend and I agreed this, the Nankin project was almost better and slowly portrayed mutations throughout until the full thing's like at the end. And the asylum, which is the first part of the haunt, it does start very slow, but it does ramp up, and you never feel bored. And I think those are the three, if you're gonna take away things that come out of this, it's that and the phenomenal like makeup and portrayal of the place. And their midway was phenomenal, which is something you would never know about because they don't have that on their Facebook page or their website. And they have a really cool midway with several food trucks there. with photo and video opportunities. They have a freak show, guys. I think it only goes twice a night, but they have a freak show. They have merch. None of this is mentioned in there. Also, the fact that they can touch you is not mentioned. They have no frequently asked questions page on either their Facebook or their website. You have to pay an extra $5 to not get touched to get a glow stick, which my friend did. However, it's really not needed unless you get like super scared, because they really don't touch you much. You get touched maybe 5-6 times. I mean, it's gonna vary per group, but like it's very, very gentle. Now, if you don't want to be touched at all, you really don't, then I'd say yeah, get that $5 so you guarantee not to. But just letting you know, you do, if you don't want to get touched, you do have to spend that extra $5. You do not get to touch them. They explain that when you go in, because there's a person who's very aggressive with his words and his actions. I don't mean like verbal actions. That's what I mean. At the front gate of the asylum, to make sure you put your phones away, which I get. It has to be done. There are people who don't listen. But I don't like being treated like a teenager. I'm not. I've done this. I've worked in the haunt industry. And I was literally pulling, like, I wasn't even in the haunt, and we're like 4 groups behind before like the group who's in, like, the group in front is getting talked to about things. We're 4 groups behind them, so we're not even ready to enter the haunt, and I'm pulling out my phone to start timing it. And he was like, put your phone away or go back, like, there. And I'm just like, I'm not like, I get, you don't have to be an asshole about it. I was like, I literally just stepped up on this first stair, and we're not even near the front entrance yet still. We're a good, like, 5-10 minutes away, unless the groups in front of us decide they're not ready to go in yet, which can happen if people are a little scared. But like, yeah, you don't have to be so mean. But then again, he probably gets he's an asshole probably because he has to deal with a lot of people who are childish and or assholes, and that's unfortunate because it makes people who know, like, this thing, it's like, I get it, but I guess my remedy for this is whenever I can, I'm going to try to get like a watch and just wear that around so I can time it, and once we go through, so I can see how long the haunt actually takes. My friend and I estimate about 15 minutes for each haunt, so a total of about 30 minutes in there. And then we stayed, I got merch. We did the whole photo area, which is really amazing. That was the worst part of it, by the way, and that's saying something, because the photo op area was amazing. I will say that right now, it was amazing. And I like how they tell you as you're going in, no photos are allowed beyond this point, when yes, there are photos allowed. But I don't know if they aren't aware. There's definitely some communication issues amongst the staff there, who run the front gate and run admissions before you even get to the ticket area to get your phone scanned to get your tickets, because they print them off or given to you. There's some communication error there, because they're like, absolutely no photos beyond this point, but then they have all these photo areas and all these actors like to get photos with, and I'm like, but you said no photos beyond this point, and everyone is taking photos with, including with some of the staff, so like obviously the photos are allowed. And also they have, I asked the staff member if I could take photos, because even though still everyone else whipping out the phones, I'm like, I don't want to assume, maybe these people are just doing it and they're not getting caught, or no one wants to say anything. But she's like, oh yeah, you can take photos, and just like, but they just told us back there, absolutely not. So that should be addressed. They should put the guy, obviously the watch, he's not gonna be addressed. That's just an unfortunate, part of the trade, I guess, is you're gonna have to deal with people. Unfortunately, some people are gonna get yelled at who aren't actually causing any harm. It happens. $5 for no touch should be addressed. They should let you know it's a touch haunted house on their website and on their Facebook, and they should say it's extra charge if you do not want to get touched, because some people might not have extra cash on them. And I didn't even see an ATM on site. However, not too far down, right down the road, there's a Kroger, so I mean, you could always skip it, then you have to leave, and probably, you don't want to do that. It's, at least they tell you the tickets and the price of parking online. But yeah, like I said, Nankin Project was almost better. Please remember, guys, about the Midway. Again, photo, video opportunities, food, a freak show, and merch. they don't mention the merch or the freak show or the photo opportunities or video opportunities or the food, like, or the touching versus the pay to get no touch. None of that's mentioned on their website. I do feel like that should be addressed at some point, and they should communicate better with some of their staff about what's going on. I got some of footage from the freak show towards the very end, and then I also got a nice of their whole pumpkin thing, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, that's cool. I got pictures of the outside of the asylum. I plan on posting those on some of my socials. I had a very good time. I'm trying to remember if there's really anything else that needs to be addressed without going into too much detail, because I feel like I mentioned a little detail in there, more so than I normally would. However, there's so much to see in there. I don't even know if you'll remember everything that I say. And also, there's a lot in there, and some things are going to impress you and stick in your mind differently than they stick in my mind. The furnace doors or the boiler doors were really cool. I liked how they had. I wonder if those were actually boiler room doors. Those might have just been the actual doors for all I know. Like, I don't know for sure, but it would be cool to, like, it'd be cool. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you're interested. If you have questions, post them in the comments. I'll get back as soon as I can. By all means, visit their website, visit their Facebook to post questions, and hopefully they'll let me post this review on their Facebook, because I would hope that they would want to see it. But until next time, guys, bye!